States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. First on the agenda, we've got Mike Hauke Jr., the Director of Equalization, to discuss CAMA. How are you this morning?
Good, thank you.
Good. You've got your staff with you. Hi, guys.
Just some kind of different perspective.
Sounds great.
I guess the reason I prepared everything we've been talking is since I came here, I gave DevNet an opportunity to work as a CAMA. We've been with DevNet 8 years now. We do have a 10-year contract. 8 years ago, when we look back at CAMA, it was in its infancy in our state. Since then, DevNet has 0 in our state except us. They've got 1 in Iowa, none in Minnesota, none in North Dakota. So our support has been, based on that demographic, has been mirrored to that. I've brought up issues to them since April. They can't seem to get the system functioning the way we paid for the software to do so. It was 2 weeks ago, the three of us, so myself and Russell and Gene had a conference call with our sales rep, and he's only been our sales rep for a year, to try to get everything fixed. The problem that we're running into is that even if he gets it fixed, we still are now going to have to go back and start implementing all the changes that he's made to every parcel in the last 8 years that we've put in. So I, of course, was looking around and said, what can we do as an overall cost savings to maybe bite the bullet originally and say, do we want to walk away from DevNet at the end of the year? So briefly, I just want to, the packet that I gave you, the blue folder, the left side is every correspondence that I basically have had with DevNet. For me, to come with a CAMA of CAMAvision.
How come we don't have the packet?
I dropped them off last week.
Yeah, I don't see it here. I don't see one. When'd you land here? Before today?
It was last week, yeah.
Oh, last week? I didn't see one.
There was 2, and then there was a CAMA.
What, this one back here?
That would be okay, yeah. Let me use that, here we go.
I don't remember seeing it at all.
So the left side is basically every correspondence that I've had with DevNet. There's still 5 or 6 outgoing issues that we've been going with them. Since April, we can't function. CAMA's supposed to make our life easier. CAMA system seems like we're fighting it every step of the way. Whether that's compatibility with our Beacon and with our IT and BC Connect. So DevNet's resolution is to come in for 3 days, fix the system, but then we still have to start basically over, start implementing the tables. My whole problem with the system is, and I came in with an open mind, we've been financially invested in them. We spent about $160,000 in the last 8 years on DevNet. That should have originally been set up, and then we're going to have to go back, and each parcel we're going to have to select the land, we're going to have to, we're having depreciation issues, and so all these things, the CAMA system. On the D, that's just 4 of the many work orders that we put in that are still not resolved with DevNet. My experience with Vanguard is that within 20 or 48 hours the situation is done, it's over, it's fixed. If not, or they have an action plan to get it fixed, so it's kind of both. And so I'm a CAMA guy, or I'm a CAMAvision guy, just because that's what I came up with. But in our state there's 30 right now. So
30 what?
30. There's 30 counties that now have Vanguard. That have came over in the last 8 years to Vanguard. So I know their support. Everyone's an appraiser. It's a mass appraisal system that's built by mass appraisers. So I guess the first issue is DevNet. Looking at our budget of $12,000 a week, we're spending money. We've been spending money for 3 months. We're going to have to go back and spend all that money again in labor and resources
Did you say 12,000 a week?
That's what our yearly budget is, right? When you base our departmental budgets of $600,000, divide that by the 52 weeks, we're spending $12,000 a week out of the equalization department. That we have a camera system that can't function, and so it just makes our job a lot easier. We're trying to be efficient, trying to be so. That's
So
the issue with
if you
that.
go with Vanguard, does that mean you have to re-enter all those parcels also with them?
They're going to do a transfer. Either way, to have every parcel in our county implemented, it's going to be 5 years. Whether we stay with DevNet, whether we stay with Camavision. My timeline is straight 5 years, just because of where we're at. Looking at the strategic plan to start implement for next year, that was what the plan was. So whether it's a DevNet or Camavision, it's a 5-year process.
Is there a huge savings value by changing? Would you say, or is it just...
Yeah, there will be, after the initial contract. Right now, the Camavision contract's about $17,000 a year for the first 5 years. After that, our fees drop to 11. Right now, we're at $19,155 this year, $19,355 for next year. And so...
Say those numbers again.
$19,155 for July 1st through July 1st, and then $19,355 at the DevNet. On the right side, I think on the third page breaks down the actual cost of the Camavision. It's like page 2 right in there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So it's $17,912. The nice thing about it is our service fees are exactly the same as 30 other counties. So after the first contract, we only pay those service fees, which is a savings of going to be like $10,000 a year at that point.
So we have 2 years left on a 10-year contract. What happens in those 2 years? Are we going to be billed for them if we bail, or can we get out of the contract, or what happens at that point?
I think we need to, that's the guidance that I'm looking for today. I'm not looking for a decision to be made today for this. My plan is to see if, and I have mentioned it to Jody, but again, it's one of those things where it seems like it just sits there and sits there and sits there, and he won't make action. So I don't know if July 1st is coming up, and I know there's a 24-hour notification to them, so I didn't know if you wanted to give them a notification. Reasonably, I think that if we pay the fees that are due this year, which is about $12,000 and some change, they let us go start January 1st, that would be the best for the county. My whole problem with them is I've been negotiating and saying, hey, your fees are too much, your fees are too much, your fees are too much, but it just seems like he's kind of blowing us off. And I did the research in the state, they're high. Brookings is $12,004 a year, we're at 19, Lincoln County is at $13,000, they're using Camavision. Brookings is actually using ProVal, a different company.
Is that something we have to have Larry deal with at that point?
We should take a look at the contract and see what our options are. But if we give them notice now to stop July 1st, we lose the ability to use their program in the meantime, don't we?
Well, I think my proposal was, okay, we owe them 2 more payments this year, $9,000 and $3,000, and that will get us until the end of the year. And at that point, it would work out for equalization because we'd be done with DevNet for the year, then we'd roll right into Camavision. But again, that has to be negotiated on.
And is the contract on a calendar basis, or?
It has a payment schedule.
Is it from January 1st to January 1st each year, or is it from July?
July to July.
So actually, you only get out of a year and a half, probably then.
Correct.
How long will we need to run a dual system?
Really wouldn't need to run a dual system. I would like something in place with Camavision so I can have it installed on my machine and start working on the tables for January 1st. But I mean, I brought Russell and Gene in here to kind of give you some more history about DevNet. I mean, it's like I said, it's nothing they did wrong. They just didn't grow in our state. They didn't get aggressive 8 years ago, and so their support is as such.
How does DevNet tie to,
VC Connect? VC Connect?
yeah, VC Connect?
They interface just by moving files back and forth.
And this will do the same without any
Yeah, I
data
mean,
input?
we're up to a SQL-based type system, so, yeah, I mean, as far as our taxation software to the CAMA, that data will flow. It's more get the camera to where they need it in the assessor's office.
And my goal, and DevNet has the capability, they've never set it up, we've been paying for it, is to click a button or download everything from BC Connect, click that tabbed eliminated file right into the camera, change the names, change the addresses, put the negotiation with them, say, hey, you got to drop our fees, you're not doing this right, but it's basically left up to the right.
Yeah, for, I think, 8 years now. They, and I don't know what the reasoning was exactly, but I think maybe it was how Mary wanted it, but they kind of gave us a light version. So we really didn't know what all our tools were to utilize with DevNet, and we still they haven't unlocked them all for us. So in that regard, we've been working on it with a partial system, and not right, wrong, or indifferent. We don't know all the tools that they have, and I think that's what Jody's trying to come up and try and offer us, you know, a solution to show us what else they can do if that's what we're looking for. I know money-wise, I don't think they're quite in line with the rest of the camera systems in the state, but I think the biggest hurdle we would have is the actual handbook conversion, because all of our stuff is not into DevNet yet, and we've utilized Marshall and Swift for over 25 years in Brown County. Where Vanguard themselves, they have their own cost handbook, so it's not really apples to apples. Exact, and I don't know with the size of our county how quick, you know, if it's going to be quick and dirty, and our numbers are going to be skewed, or, you know, I guess that's my biggest concern. Marshall and Swift is just, it's not exclusive to DevNet. It's its own handbook. It's utilized by many camera systems such as Tyler and ProVal, DevNet of course, but data-wise for our county, I think that's probably our biggest hurdle out of this. I'm all for looking for a better deal, a better way to make our lives easier in our offices, but our data is kind of the key to our efficiency. So I don't know what the transfer would entail, how much time or, you know, money. I don't know if it's, you know, if you're looking at a full reappraisal, that's in the millions for our side of the county. But if we're looking at transferring data, that's very, very, that's a light process. That's a data dump that we got to try and repair on the back end. And if we get locked out of our current system because we cancel contracts and we're just left with a data dump, I don't know where that puts us in the short term as compared to the long term. In the long term, it'll work out because we have a plan. Mike has a plan, but in the short term, it might be real difficult to put.
I think you better be really careful.
Yes, and we got to look out for our taxpayers as well, and that goes with budgeting our camera. That goes with keeping consistent data and whatnot. So
It could be that in the long run, it's cheaper just to run out the 10-year contract.
I was thinking the same thing.
Pay a little more to start the other one a little early so you're ready to make a good transition. But that's a policy decision.
That's what I was thinking too.
She wants to come show you the different options that they haven't shown you. You'd have 2 years of that. Would that be something that, if they follow through, that would be beneficial at this point to run 2 more years, or you think it's...
The struggles that we're having with DevNet, I don't think can be fixed. If they have 30 jurisdictions, I think they can be fixed. If we have an appraisal question, what do we call? Not DevNet. We want to rely on our association of assessors. 30 of them have DevNet. I also can call, you know, if we have CamaVision, I call them because they're mass appraisers. It's built for mass appraisal. They have their own grading system, conditioning system, and I've been through that. It's really, if the runs are done, the runs are locked. And so those are done, they're in the file, and then we start transitioning on a 5-year plan to get it reval, not a reappraisal. It's not going to change the values. It's not going to up this or up that. It's going to say, how are we going to build our tables? It's much easier to build. I've had that experience, but right now, to even do a sales comparable or a ratio study, it's all hand. DevNet has the capabilities, they didn't hook it up. They didn't hook it up because maybe it wasn't requested, but it should at least been opened up is my whole problem. And they got a website that I had to put their feet to the fire to even get access to, where it shows, here's the directions on how to use my camera system. I don't have that for 8 years. And it's the situation where even to get a basic question answered is a week process. And so, no, I'm...
30 have Vanguard.
30...
You said 30
counties.
have DevNet.
Oh, sorry, no, there's none.
Vanguard.
Vanguard, yes. 30 counties have Vanguard currently.
How many are on Tyler, do you know?
I don't. And I'll tell you, if DevNet had been aggressive 8 years ago, they would not only, they'd have their full tax implementation software is a nice package with the CAMA system, but we're a CAMA only, and so it's just kind of, we're alienated, so I guess we're just looking for guidance on where we need to go.
I don't know that you can, if we can't break the contract, I don't know that we could afford to pay for 2 of them. I guess that would be the major concern, would be what are they gonna do for contract, as far as, are they gonna let us out with 2 years left, or are they gonna say, no, you're paying us? I think that's the big issue. I mean, if we don't know that, it's hard to make a decision on the other side of it.
And do we want out? I mean,
Well,
you gotta
that's-
make sure that transition's gonna be smooth, because
It's
we don't
really
wanna
not 2
come
years,
push
it's
to
only a
shove,
year
and then
and a
we
half.
can't get out, you know,
Right.
the partial.
20, and I don't know, I think if we were starting it from the beginning, I've used DevNet a little bit before, and I kind of like it. I'm not real sure how, the whole grade system, everything in Marshall is kind of different, at least in nomenclature and stuff than Vanguard is. And you're going poor, average, good, excellent, very good qualities versus a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 grading system. Vanguard has a half a step between, DevNet has about 5 steps between each step. And as far as how one dumps into the other, and maybe, you know, Mike seems to have this under control, I think, from what I understand, but so far I don't understand it quite so well. How one dumps into the other without, you know, suddenly one day being on Vanguard, the next day being on, or one day being on Marshall, the next day being on Vanguard, to make sure that we aren't running 2019 assessments out of numbers produced by both systems. And unless we're doing completely, you know, a neighborhood, or, you know, neighborhoods completely from scratch, I'm not sure that, you know, I don't have Russ's house on an old Marshall number and my house on a new Vanguard number, and we could be very well be side by side, because I've worked my house with a new building permit where his hasn't been worked on in 2 or 3 years, and we haven't got to yet. So we have to, even at that point, have to find some way to mold the two together. And I don't see how you can do it without running 2 systems, kind of, at least have access to one while you're building the other.
Okay.
But you know, and maybe we do.
I think the other issue would be, every parcel isn't running out of DevNet yet. So there's really nothing there to dump into Vanguard for some stuff. And that's kind of what Gene's saying too. And so you're left with a blank, you know, page for this property, but you got nothing but a card to base your any adjustments on. And I don't know, it's kind of that way anyways, but at least we're using the same handbook and we have the versions for it, so it's not...
Even now we still have some old numbers off of the old Marshall that hasn't been into DevNet yet, and some new stuff that's in DevNet, but at least it's Marshall, an old Marshall version versus a new Marshall version, and with some multipliers and some trending, I can kind of make a match. At least an average quality house is an average quality house versus an average quality house versus is a 3 or a 3 plus 5 or a 3 minus 5 or whatever. I'm not sure if an average corresponds to a 3 or a good corresponds to a 2, or how that dumps together.
And we got roughly 60 years appraisal experience in our office, and 56 of them are on Marshall and Swift handbook. Out of 6 of us, I'm not saying that it is what it is, but yeah.
Sure.
But so there's five of us that have ran Marshall and Swift their whole careers, and Mike has done Vanguard. And I don't know if that's an easy transition for the staff. I think we could make the transition, but I don't know how easy of a transition it would be.
Well, I think you guys need to keep talking about it. I mean, if there's savings to be had and efficiencies to be had, it's something to look at, but I don't think we're at a point where we can say, let's give them the 24-hour notice that we're done at the end of the year. You know, unless somebody else has a different idea.
Well, their contract actually expires June 30th, 2019, so we have a full 2 years left of it, is when their expiration is.
One thing, the county should own all the data. And I don't know how the contract's written, if we're just paying support fees or if we're paying licensing fees every year. Because if we're just paying support, then we should actually be able to run it forever with no updates. If we're paying licensing fee, then we're gonna run out of using the product at the end of the contract, or the end of the year, or whatever. So regardless, if we run out the contract for 2 years and we're paying licensing fees and we're gonna lose the use of DevNet in the transition, then it doesn't matter. We're gonna run a dual system. We're gonna have to, 1 year, we're gonna at least you're looking at paying for double during that transition year, unless we're just paying support. So,
Well, according to their payment schedule, $13,125 for the Canvas software, license, support, and maintenance, and then $62.30 is for a third-party software. That's how their payments are broke down.
that would be
So-
the Apex.
That'd be
sketching.
Marshall and Swift, yeah.
So the $13,000 is for software, license, support, and maintenance.
Yeah, so that, you have to get into the fine line of that licensing. If that runs out, then the software will no longer function. If it's just maintenance and support, then that shouldn't be an issue. You're looking at a transition, and you're gonna be running dual systems irregardless, just a matter of when you start.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to plan for that and balance the benefit of some short-term increased cost over long-term reduced costs, and see how that looks to you.
There are other, Tyler and Thompson Reuters, ProVal, are other cameras as well that are utilized in the state. They run off Marshall and Swift just like DevNet does. So handbook transition wouldn't be as,
Marshall and Swift is so 1980. That's the problem. Marshall and Swift does for every industry. I've had experience with the MATS appraisal system, the Vanguard, the cost appraisal system. And we've already uploaded the cost data sheets and the photos. Even the photos were being printed out on files still up until about 3 weeks ago. So everything's in there. So my plan was the next month or so, once we decide, you know, do you want me to continue to explore it? Do we want to say, hey, can we negotiate with DevNet to go forward? And then I put a cost. I'm working on a strategic plan with the budget the finalization in August. I needed to get the strategic plan and the operational plan for next year. This was a step, and it makes sense now to look at it. So again, one way or the other, I mean, we're good if we stay with DevNet, but I guess I gave them an opportunity when they came in to service us. And to me, for us to pay $19,000 a year and $160,000, I feel like it's a slap in the face to the county and the taxpayers to not get better service with DevNet. I had to put their feet to the fire to get a conference call from them. And so I'm extremely disappointed in the organization. And I will tell you, you said third-party fees. ProVal, they're charging $3,600 to Brookings County. So that $6,400, they're charging us $1,800 more per year just to have Marshall Swift because it's on DevNet versus ProVal. And so I'll look for cost savings, and then, but I guess we're all looking for, yeah, but it's gonna be a detailed plan. Regardless, it's 5 years to get everything in the system. Same staffing, same everything.
Well, I think at this point, Larry needs to look at the contract and find out where we sit there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we can move
so
down.
He has a copy of it.
You have a copy of it?
Sure, I have. Right here.
All right, to keep us on track here, is there any other questions while we go through that?
I just want to offer that Commissioner Hanson, obviously, isn't here today, but she asked that we wait to make a decision, obviously, until she gets back, which it looks like we're going to do. But she did a lot of homework on what various counties, and I think she provided that to all of you. And the bottom line is, it looks like in the transition, it's IT intensive. IT plays a huge and critical part in the transition. And in some counties that's gone well, and in other counties it hasn't. So just one thing to keep in mind is the level of participation by the IT department will be critical here, so.
And having to keep them in the loop, and
Yep.
we've been struggling with that now, but it's got Beacon with a new software, and so it's working much better now.
Good.
Yeah, Beacon was less than 2 weeks, and they were right where we wanted them.
All right, well, let's keep in contact on it and keep doing a little research on that contract and what we need to do, and we'll go from there. Thank you very much for the time.
Thanks, Mike.
Next on the agenda, we've got Scott Meintz, Emergency Management, to discuss the burn ban and fireworks. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, I'm wonderful, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
I brought along a visitor, or guest. This is Mark Stokes.
Mark, how are you?
Mark is the fire chief from Aberdeen Rural and also the vice president of the Brown County Fire Chiefs Association. So I handed out to you the state law pertaining to county regulation of fireworks. You can take a second to read it.
So under my understanding, unless you're at a D3, there is really no grassland range fire index.
No, not true. Grassland Fire Index is put out during the grassland fire season. Here's a copy of today's, you can pass that around. There's actually 5 categories that we can fall in, and unless, the way I read this law, unless we fall into the extreme category, we cannot regulate fireworks on the off days. And the way I read this and the information that I've gotten, there's no regulation July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And the other days, again, we have to be in the extreme fire danger to be allowed to regulate them. So, today's windy, low humidities, and we're only in high, and there's 2 categories above us. I don't really see any reason to act on any fireworks ban, because again, we're not gonna fall in those categories to allow us to regulate them. So, about the only thing we can do, folks, is ask our citizens and visitors to be extremely careful, and move forward.
Now, what about the burn ban? Got any thoughts on that, Mark?
I think it's greened up quite a bit. I think we maybe be all right to lift that and try it, I guess. And I think there's some confusion between the fireworks and the burn ban, but
And there has been some confusion, and I kind of agree with Mark. You know, we've talked to a few of the chiefs and stuff like that. To eliminate some of the confusion, maybe we lift the burn ban and see what happens. There's a couple things that make me a little nervous. One, fireworks and lifting the burn ban all in the same week, so we have now 2 categories that could create issues for us. You know, and the other thing is over the 4th, our fire departments, especially our volunteer rural departments, you know, are shorthanded. People are going on vacation, going to the lake, things like that. You know, and again, now we're a full crew, is that an issue? So that's my only concern for like this week. So
Could we leave the burn ban on for just 1 more week? We got a good chance of rain here tonight and tomorrow. That would alleviate the problem. I mean, whether you're burning sloughs or whatever the farmers are doing, I don't know that a week would affect them a lot.
right.
I agree it has greened up, but like, I also see the complication with the volunteer fire departments fighting 2 issues at one time.
fireworks in that.
You know, here a couple years ago, we had a house fire in Bath, you know, right on the 4th, that created, you know, I think we ended up having 4 or 5 departments there just to get enough crews to be able to
Get the manpower
to do what they needed to do. You know, so that is a concern. I know some departments have gone, since that little incident, have gone to making sure that they have some folks on hand. Now, that's not a full department, but at least make sure that there is some volunteers available at least initially respond, but,
I
so,
would-
yeah.
I would think that if we left the burn ban on until next Tuesday, we meet the 5th, as the holiday is the 4th, we'll meet Wednesday the 5th. We could remove the burn ban at that point.
Depending on if we get some rain and stuff like that. We'll leave the fireworks alone just as is and ask people to be cautious and leave the burn ban on and relook at it.
So if we do nothing, that's the way it is.
My only thought with that, Doug, is if we can't regulate fireworks anyway, what's the purpose of having the burn ban? 'Cause this is the week where it's gonna really...
Well, the problem is, like you said, if you got fireworks causing fires in your short crews, and now you got somebody burning a slough and it gets out of control, you've got not the staff to cover it. I was just thinking
Sure.
that
What's the long term look like? This might be the wettest that we get for a while this week. So if people have burning they need to do, get it done now and then...
Looking at the...
Not that I wanna get into a situation where you're putting it on, off, but that was my only thought.
It changes so often, you know. I sat in on the Drought Task Force conference call last week, and they talked about added rain until the 3-month, you know, early fall, or, you know, late fall, winter is when you see some moisture finally coming. So I'm afraid July could be, you know, again, they're talking upper 90s for the 10-day forecast already, you know, the week after the 4th.
Well, you don't see many Julys cool and wet.
Exactly.
No.
So...
What happens when, you know, we see it out north of town, I'm sure south of town too a lot, when folks come out and light off their fireworks in the right of way, and if a CRP feel there's something more to go up, and you can prove it's that person?
Well, you know, obviously the sheriff's office steps in, and I thought Tom was gonna be here this morning, but...
We're running a little late on the agenda, maybe why.
You know, they're, you know, they would step in and prosecute according to law, things like that, but again, catching those people is...
Sometimes, yeah, they tend to leave.
You know, they're...
I
Once they
think
know
the
they're
news-
afraid they're gonna get in trouble.
I think the news and the paper could help us out, because, you know, I live on 10 miles out, and somewhere between the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, I will tell you that there's probably $3,000 to $5,000 of fireworks sitting on that County Road 10 all the way out. They light them and they leave them set there. Well, they don't know if there's a slough beside them or what they're looking at. They need to be aware of their surroundings before that. I mean, you're not gonna prevent them from going out and doing it, but don't go out and light them by a 10-acre slough.
Well, that's the thing, and sometimes it seems like it's the kinda out of the way places where
They can hide.
they can hide, or they think they're gonna get away with it, or maybe, you know, the low, you know, usually it's the low-lying area where there is a slough, and rather than something green where it's not gonna burn.
Yeah.
Road less traveled,
Unfortunately.
yeah, where they're going.
And that's a given all around, you
Yeah.
know, especially a couple miles out of the city of Aberdeen. There's plenty of trash the next days, and that's where we see a lot of our calls. You know, you go up to Ordway, and that seems to be a hot spot. It's off in the back roads, and, you know, there's only a couple roads to get there, and so, yeah, those are issues, and
So Rachel, you think we need to take the burn ban off?
That's my opinion. I'd like to do it for a week, because I think this, I'm an optimist, but I think this might be as wet as we get for a little while. And some parts of the county are absolutely fine. You know, you go to the north part by North Dakota, they're okay to burn up there. And I hate to penalize them up there for the dry conditions that we have down here, and I would hope, like you said, people will just be smarter.
you know, and we haven't had any calls. Aberdeen Rural had a call here last week, southwest of the Starlight. It was a baler that we think hit a rock and, you know, started some hay on fire. It didn't move very fast.
It didn't move real fast.
You know, we haven't had any ditch fires from cigarettes or anything like that, so...
Well, it's greened up.
You know, obviously it's greened up and stuff like that, but if we miss the rain tonight and again on Thursday, you know, we could be in a whole different ballgame again, especially if temps start getting up into the, you know, 90s again. So, on one hand, I agree with just pretty quick again. You know, where we could have some issues, so. And I guess you can speak on the fire department's the shorthandedness, you know.
It's not, yeah.
It's not like they don't respond.
It's just we might have, instead of having 12 guys, it might be 8 guys, and then we're calling more departments instead of 2 departments, it might be 3 departments, and you're pulling from other areas, so.
I think there's a lot of areas of the county, like some of the burden on the rural fire departments with, over this is probably the busiest weekend of the year for potential danger.
Yeah.
And again, if we don't get rain, and I completely agree, we're gonna go into the dry spell, and, you know, July and August, it's not gonna get any less busy for those folks, you know. The wheat that is out there is heading out. I'm guessing wheat harvest is gonna be earlier than ever before. You know, and then we got those dry fields that, you know, people they're not turning them black anymore, folks, so now we're creating more monsters out there, you know. We don't have the fire breaks of them being green and things like that, so it could be a busy fall season, so. Truthfully, I'd prefer to just leave it as is, leave the fireworks go and leave the burn ban, and we'll look at it next week depending on the rain, and if we can pick up an inch of rain across the county, I think we'll green back up again, and, you know, we can pull it off for a couple weeks and see what happens.
Okay, any other comments, questions, motions? All right, well, I appreciate you guys coming in. I think we know where we're at, and
keep our fingers crossed that people behave and we're not running crazy, so, thank you.
thanks for what you guys are doing. Appreciate it, and have a safe week.
Sorry, Madam Chair, I just couldn't.
That's all right, and I can't make a motion, so
I know,
can...
I know you wanted one made, but...
It's all
Yeah, I did too.
good. I can see both sides. Next on the agenda, Jeff Mitchell. How are you today?
I could make it if
Sorry
you
for
want to vote,
our delay
Rachel.
there.
No, it's all right.
You could what?
I'll make it if you want to vote on it.
I think it would've taken 3, right?
It ended in a tie.
Yeah, I think it'd been at least a tie.
High dives,
The
right?
best you could've did.
Doesn't it?
Jeff, how are you?
Tie
Good.
dive.
Yeah.
What do we got going on?
Well, wanted to come to you, we recently purchased a property from an estate at 1202 South 2nd Street here in Aberdeen, with the idea that probably next spring we'll actually demo the house and redevelop the lot. In talking with the assessor's office, what I guess I'm requesting is an abatement of all or part of the taxes, the 17 payable 18, because the house is still fully assessed at the full value. Our history in the past has been when we buy these basically decrepit houses with the idea that we're going to tear them down, I come in and talk to the assessor's office, they drop the valuation down to about 25 in the house and 25 in the lot, and we go forward. Just that this one has right now an assessment that would pay about $1,400 in taxes, which of course gets passed on to the end buyer. If there's some way to work out an abatement on that, that's going to save the eventual end buyer some money up front. So, I think there was, okay. I did get a call, what is today? Is it Tuesday?
Yeah.
It's Tuesday, okay. I believe it was I think it was Friday, I don't know. From the assessor's office, and I think they were going to make a recommendation to you. Did you know,
Grab them?
did they do that? Okay.
They did, it's in the package.
Okay. So,
It's the top one.
yeah, I've never actually
Oh,
done
that's
this
from
before,
Russell.
so it's kind of new to
Sure,
me, so,
sure.
yeah.
Are you fine with the recommendation?
Oh, I think that's more than fair, yeah.
I don't think this is the one.
And it's this? Lowering it to, was it 400 something?
$446.66 they would recommend lowering it to.
Is there an actual date right there?
I thought so.
I think the form's behind it.
Yeah.
Is that the process, or are we missing something?
Well, if there is one plus to this, you never like to tear down houses unless you have to, but this one needed to be torn down, and the only other person who was interested in it wanted to try to make a rental out of it. like, no, we got enough of those already, thank you, let's, yeah, this is foundation is pushing in and the house is.
We probably couldn't get more than 40 for it, could we?
Well, I'll fill up front, I paid $7,500 for it to the estate, and I'm kinda thinking I overpaid, so.
It's a big picture, but...
On your demos, do you have certain companies that help you out with that as far as they volunteer?
Not volunteer,
Yeah.
but we've always found
Passionate.
that to be our most cost
She
effective.
says that they do
And if we
recommend
time it
that
right,
they
we can
make
usually
ton
take
of
the
sorry.
excavation for the new house and use it to fill the old hole, or
Isn't
build right
that
on
the black in
the
the bottom,
foundation.
that's the way bottom sheet? The one you just had, way in the bottom, read that. The first page. Very first page, top. Way
That's
in the
not
bottom.
an abatement form.
Yeah, but the recommendations on the bottom are the...
Right, but you need I mean, if you're going to do the recommendation, you need
should
the
have the
abatement form.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, you want me to run over and grab them?
I can,
Get that?
because,
That'll probably take them some time anyway. Is there any questions on it, if we get things rolling? And they need a form with your signature on it for us to go ahead and...
Nothing happens without a form.
Yeah.
yeah, because your option would either be to approve the form or deny the form.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
They'll be right over.
Is that something that we can put off one more week if we vote
Oh,
next week?
yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Okay, is there any questions for Jeff while he's here? Come on in, Russell. We just didn't have the form.
Yeah,
Is there
sorry.
something-
I've kind of prorated with that transaction that Jeff made. We've had houses in the past, similar circumstances, where we would net value that home as it sat vacant before demolition for $2,500. So we kind of prorated based off the I can have Mike fill one out.
So why don't we get the form filled out, we'll get Jeff's signature and work with Maxine on that, and we'll vote on it next week. So that's
Perfect.
Is that
Yep,
okay?
we can do that.
Okay, any other
That'll work.
questions?
Do you need me back next week?
No, we'll,
If we have the form, I think we can act on it, can't we?
yep, we
Yeah.
got the recommendations.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
Jeff.
so much for coming in,
Yep.
appreciate it. Next on the agenda, we got Judy Dosh, Maintenance Supervisor, to discuss surplus items. Judy, are you with us?
I am.
How are you this morning?
Good.
Great.
Morning, Judy.
Good morning. Just had some surplus items that didn't sell. There were some desks and some chairs and some other, like some cupboards and that kind of stuff. And so I was just asking, and the computer stuff didn't sell. So I'm just here to find out, do I just take all the metal stuff to Mardian's? Do I take the computer stuff to recycle it? I talked to Mike at the landfill, and he says any computer stuff that he would have to pay to get rid of it anyway. So I didn't know if he wanted me to take it over to Stuckey's Recycling for the computers and stuff, or what you guys really want.
I don't know if we're allowed to. I think computer
I don't-
stuff, we
I
have
don't
to
know.
trash it, don't we?
Can't answer that, I'm not sure.
We'll have to check, but
He would take it to landfill, and then Mike pays to get rid of it.
Right.
So, but, I mean, it's whatever you guys say. I
We'll
just
have to check into that, but I had thought that
Check
if it
into
was,
it.
well, I know with like tax businesses and stuff, you can't recycle it, even if you think it's all been cleared, you gotta trash it just in case,
Yep,
hard drive.
and that's why,
It's
it's just,
private
it's,
business, they should have come to the auction and bid
Yeah.
on it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
all right, that's fine.
Drive over it with your car if you can.
And then the Dennis, I
It-
suppose, he just puts it in that treasure to trash, or trash to treasure area and see if somebody grabs them, or
Well,
what do you?
Or take it to Marty's and
take
sell
it
it
out to
for...
Mardian's and sell it,
get a
and
little
get
bit out of it.
get more
Yeah.
out of it than,
Metal.
Mike would have to haul it and do something with it.
Yeah.
Put it in his metal storage building, or metal bin
You
too,
can
to
sell
get
it.
rid of it, so.
Marty's done, do
I
it.
can-
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know if
Is
they
there
were
quite a
wood
few
or if
desks,
they were
or is it
metal.
just,
There's like 6 desks,
there's those metal tin ones, those...
yes.
You cannot have a bonfire, at least for a week.
Not
That's
this
kind of
week.
what I heard, so I can't burn it.
Not this week.
So,
yeah, whatever it takes.
So you take all the metal to Mardian's and everything else to the landfill?
Yes.
Except the computers.
If you need a motion to that effect, I'll
Well,
make
the
a motion.
computers too. To
it's the
dispose of
printers.
them. Is there somewhere else to dispose of them?
Well, I don't know, I mean, I thought we were a little uncertain of how that goes down as far as, you just take, I mean,
No, I think we have to take them to landfill and then they pay to have
Trash them.
them hauled away.
All it is basically the Okadata printers is what it is, the really old printers.
There's not a lot
well,
of
if
data.
it's printers, there wouldn't be.
No, there's no, but,
So I'll make a motion to sell the metal to Mardians and haul the rest to the landfill.
okay.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion from Sutton, second from Fishback. Any other questions on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brings us to the end of our regular agenda. Max, you want to do your items?
Okay, minutes from June 20th.
Move 'em.
Moved by Fishback,
Second.
second by Feldheim. Any corrections or additions to those minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Claims and payroll.
Move.
Moved by Sutton,
Second.
seconded by Feldheim. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
HR report.
Did you get that? Moved by Feldheim,
Second.
second by Fishback. Any questions on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
There were 6 plats, Kasubi, Keats, Treaty, Ludwig, Lepp, and Performance.
Move 'em.
Moved by Fishback,
Second.
second by Sutton. Really no controversy on those last Tuesday. They're pretty standard. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Authorize advertising a public hearing for a special note for the Aquatics to have their event on
Move.
South 281.
Moved by Feldheim,
Second.
second by Sutton. Any questions? When is the quickest they could get that? Is that for this, I mean, once we do the,
There has to be 10 days between the completed publication and the hearing.
okay,
Yeah.
within a couple weeks maybe?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
I
Aye.
believe the hearing is the
Okay.
18th, excuse me.
Motion carries. Okay, gotcha.
Okay, I gave you a copy of the lost history report cards for the safety benefits. We actually we were busy last week
Yeah.
with the safety benefits loss control and then AIG, that is South Dakota Public Insurance Alliance's underwriters. They were here Thursday, so kept Gary busy.
Yeah, it was a busy couple days.
Yeah, but
What is the LC? Can you explain the
loss
credit?
control, that's
Every 3 years?
That's based on our modifiers for the 3 and 4 year, numbers.
So that's your discount if you're doing good?
That's your discount if you're doing good. The better you're doing, the better the discount. So once we get rid of that, 2014, that should go up. And it's a 3-year cycle, and so this 14,000 will be there for the 3 years, and then it'll go down.
Yeah, 13 and 14 are both bad years.
Yes. Mhm.
And then what's the other credits? What does that include?
That's the contribution discount, renewal credit, and return on equity. They do a audit on the work comp every year they calculate the premium, or we're members, so it's actually not a premium, but a membership fee. They calculate that on the initial budget, the personnel in the budget. Then in the payroll audit, they come in and look at the actual hours worked budget outflow. They'll take away all the sick leave used and vacation used, and of course the holidays. And then we get a refund on that membership fee that we paid in for the service.
Okay. Any other questions on that report card? All right, thanks for putting that together.
Yeah. Well, they put it together, which is...
You photocopied it for us?
Yeah, you're welcome. I did the hard part.
There you go.
And AIG, They also did a site survey. Besides the report card, they did the site survey, so we will get the results from that.
Probably next few weeks.
Yeah, and then also AIG. was written.
Is our safety committee still going strong?
Yeah, they're still...
Monthly?
We're doing been doing the building inspections recently, and so we're getting all that done to get ready for the August report, so...
Sounds great. All right. You don't need any motion or anything, that's
No.
informational?
No. The fair contracts.
Move.
Moved by Sutton,
Second.
seconded by Fishback. Questions on those? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carries.
There was a lease, for
Feldheim,
Second.
seconded by Sutton. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carries.
and there is the Medica insurance contract for the commission chair to sign.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, seconded by Fishback. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carries.
And that's all I have.
Okay. Gary, did you have anything for us?
Dirk couldn't be here today, but he just wanted to have me mention that he is still moving forward on the Tekla dump site negotiation. He's basically talking looking for approvals or anything today, but he just wanted to let you know that he is still working on it, and hopefully we can finalize that soon.
Okay. Thank you for the update.
And then Larry and I would like to go into exec for personnel and legal.
Okay. Is there a motion to go?
Move.
Moved by Feldheim, seconded by Sutton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Back in session. Only action was to entertain a motion to amend our minutes to show that on the sundial, you know, we had just acknowledged the payroll audit report.
Oh.
And we would like to change that to, what was it, that
To take action to...
we acknowledge it and would also like the appropriate department heads to address the issues that were written up on the payroll audit, would be the motion I'm asking for.
And pay for the overtime.
Overtime,
And pay the overtime.
Okay.
Move it.
Moved
Leave
by
the
Feldheim.
acknowledge, but add,
That in addition, the
and
appropriate...
further, request each department head
to address the issues that were written up in it. And
Identified in their departments.
address,
the issues identified in their departments.
Were those department heads notified?
They will be now.
Gotcha.
And pay appropriate overtime. And we've got a motion from Feldheim. Is there a second?
Second.
I wasn't here, so I just said not.
Seconded by, yeah, that might be, seconded by Fishback. Any questions on that motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. I would entertain a motion to go into exec for...
No exec.
Okay.
We don't need exact.
No, just
Okay.
information, and I
Okay, great.
apologize that I had this on my list when I was up here early and I forgot. Just information, we've been, it's been announced that our 2017 Homeland Security Grant, those awards will be coming out. There's 6 agencies in Brown County that will be receiving $107,000 and some change. So that's, was a good news little story. And then, I also received, a notification from the Farm Bureau. We applied for the Farm Bureau grant for the CERT program, if you remember here a while back, that, we also have been approved for that. I will be meeting with those folks tomorrow, from Farm Bureau, the local and the state office, to figure out our game plan on how we move forward with that, because that was the grant that requested us to put logos or information and stuff like that on county-owned equipment, and we passed the policy and stuff like that. So just wanted you to be aware of that. If there's any big changes, I will come next week and inform you, but I guess just information on those 2 things, especially the Farm Bureau grant. Questions?
Questions? Great work.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize for having to come up.
No, you're fine.
Thanks,
Appreciate the
guys.
heads up. Thank you. All right, anything else?
Should have asked if he's out with a trailer this morning, shouldn't I?
Anything else come up for us, Maxine?
Nope.
Anything from the commissioners, folks in attendance? The one thing I did want to give a heads up, I had a couple questions on the fact that CRP is being released. Talking with the folks at FSA, it's important, if you guys get questions out in the public, that it's really a small percent. It's only 5% of the CRP acres in Brown County. We have about 70,000 acres here, and it amounts to about 3,500 that actually qualify for the type of CRP that are being released for grazing. It's that highly erodible land, which is more dealing with, West River and Montana. It's not so much the stuff around here. There's a little bit, but if there's more questions, I would direct them out to FSA. But I just don't want people to get confused and go start grazing 75% of their CRP thinking it's all being opened up.
And don't burn it.
Yeah, right. Anything else from the commissioners in attendance? All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Sutton, seconded by Feldheim. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll be adjourned until next Tuesday.
Wednesday.